Okay, so let's talk about fireballs. But for this one, we're going to just focus on Shoto fireballs, like I said previously. And in this game, there are arguably 5 Shotos. So we got Belial, Gran, Katalina, Percival, and Djeeta. So these are the 5 fireballs we're going to focus on today. And later on, like in another video, I'll focus on other fireballs. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because I don't think most people understand how a fireball is supposed to be traditionally used. And I kind of want to alleviate that for my own mental sake, because seeing some of y'all use fireballs is kind of annoying. So let's focus on Gran, I guess. The basic idea of a fireball is you're trying to control neutral spacing, right? Mostly in this game, when I see people using fireballs, it's usually for combo extensions. While that is kind of good, it's not the only way to use a fireball, which is I think where my problem comes in, because people will just randomly throw up pokes hoping they hit, right? But you could actually think of a fireball as a poke. It just covers up neutral space. And versus characters that don't have a fireball game, it's really good because it helps whittle away at their health, which is why it's very confusing where I don't see people trying to implement a fireball game. People who have good fireball games that I've seen in this game so far, Kizzy is a really good one. Neokarsh. People who I'm noticing don't come from anime will have a good fireball game, while people who come from anime, I don't think understand how they want to use a fireball in a sense. And that's not really their fault, but it's just really weird coming from Street Fighter and then seeing people who don't like using fireballs the way they should be used. So and then characters have different properties to their fireballs. Some of them have chargeable fireballs. Some of them have fireballs that do multi-hitting statuses, whatever. So it depends on your character. So you got to learn how your character uses their fireball. But I'm starting with Gran because Gran has the simplest, the simplest fireball in a sense. It's the most Shoto-esque fireball in a sense. So that's what we're starting with. I'll take this off, take this off, take this off. Okay, cool. So fireball, right? You can just literally use it the moment you're not so you're in poke range here, right? So a little bit further out would be considered fireball range, where you're trying to get your opponent to approach you because they don't really have an option they can use against their fireball. Ladiva's anti-fireball option would probably be either A, 2U. I'm looking at all you Ladiva players who are going to say they're not going to 2U against the fireball, knowing very well you'll 2U versus the fireball for some godforsaken reason. And SBA, in which they can just run through your fireball. Anytime you're around here, you might as well just start fireballing because they really can't do anything to you. Just walk around back and forth, see what your opponent's gonna do. Remember, keep in mind that if they jump, you could just DP them, back the fuck up, start fireballing again. The point of using a fireball versus characters. Oh, you're talking about rolling or spot dodging? You mean the thing that we can just wait? Even against okay, cool. Even against rolling or spot dodging, you still taking a risk. If I call it out, you could still take a counter hit. And I'm fine with that. The goal is that I want you irritated. I'm trying to use my fireball here to irritate you to come to me. If you come to me and you start making bad decisions that I can capitalize off of it, my fireball has done its job. Straight up. If you want to start jumping, or you want to start rolling, or you want to start dodging, these are all fine options, because you still have to come to me. You're not gonna pass through all my fireballs unscathed. A fireball will hit you inevitably. That's goes without saying. And then the moment you do get off, the moment you do get close to me, oh, you got in, right? Or whatever, right? If I DP you, I'm gonna back the fuck up, start chucking more plasma, and now you gotta run this whole bullet hell. Well, bullet hell is a very. I was wondering why Ladiva was moving. You gotta run this whole bullet hell course this whole bullet hell course all over again. The goal is just to irritate you. I'm using this as a poke because you cannot challenge me at this range. That's what fireballs are meant to be in certain games. Just a poke. Just a poke. Oh look, I can't hit you with 5H. I can't hit you with 5. Oh wait, 5S actually has some range to it. Shit. How do I cancel it? Like, I can't hit you with 5S, but I can hit you with a fireball. And each of these fireballs are doing how much damage? Roughly 600 to 800 damage. Which I like. Because even if you block it, right, you're still taking chip. Like, there is like no disadvantage to using a fireball at this range. And there are certain things called like fireball traps where it's like, okay, now that I've got you at this range, you're going to want to jump because you're irritated of taking all this chip damage or whatever from fireballs. And then I get to hit you with this arrow unblockable DP that puts you back at this exact range that I want you to be at. So that's kind of like the way I want to play Percival in a sense. That's why you see me play Percival in certain matches, because I'm just going to irritate the hell out of you. Like, and you're going to just, that's how we're going to play this match. Either you're going to get in, or you're going to spend this entire time respecting my social distancing and be irritated. It happens all the time. Gran's fireball is kind of simple in a sense. You have light fireball, which you can use as a poke. You have heavy fireball, multi-hitting move, plus frames, whatever. And then his M fireball. So if we go to a character who has a fireball, like let's say Lancelot, like in my head, roll and spot dodge is like kind of synonymous to focus attack in Street Fighter 4. So yeah, you have a defensive option, but it's not like something you want to like constantly use. So like versus like characters with other fireballs, Gram's M fireball really good, because the first part of it will dissipate any fireball that's already coming towards him, and he still gets to send out a fireball of his own. So it's like, oh, I could use this as his own, and I could use this for anti-fireballs. So you have to respect my fireball. Now I wouldn't do this versus a Lancelot player, because any fireball that Gran does will most likely be swept, but versus other fireball characters, these are still valid options. This is like the idea. You want to like just be outside their range. Like, okay, so even the fact that like Lance can two you my Gran's fireball, right? There is a range where Lancelot can't do it. If I'm right, this range should be around here. Yeah. Like, oh. Like, there are ranges where your fireball is really good, but everyone wants to be like a dickhead towards Lance. I'm just saying this on like a completely side tangent. Like, you just want to start throwing L fireballs and like or like M fireballs at ranges where he could just 2U for it. So it's really weird. But like I was saying, Grant's L fireball really good if you just want to like establish some type of zoning game. Like, just walk back, start chucking plasma, wait to see what your opponent does, and then punish them accordingly. Really simple. M fireball, good because you could either challenge fireballs or use the first part of his M fireball to dissipate any fireball that's coming towards you, and then use the second hit just to establish some type of pressure. Again, still a really good option. H fireballs, just blast or whatever. Like, there are applications of fireball completely outside of combo applications. There is a neutral game to using fireball that's completely overlooked in this game, which is kind of understandable because people are like worried about dodge and rolling, but you still have to, like, if you don't implement it to begin with, then they really don't have to, like, they don't really have a reason to be precautious of it, if that makes sense. Like, you have to make the threat of it established and let it be known, like, hey, I still have a fireball that I will completely use to just annoy and bother the hell out of you at specific ranges. Okay, Katalina's fireball is kind of weird. Katalina's fireball is kind of weird in the sense that, like, that is probably a straightforward fireball you're gonna get. L fireball, M fireball, fast as shit. Like, this shit is fast as hell. And then you have H fireball. You could treat her L. You could treat like all her fireballs as the same thing. Like, okay, wow, I didn't want sweep there. Like, you just got a sweep there. Okay, now we're back at neutral. Come back to me. Like you could just literally just use her fireballs and like get the fuck away. Like, she probably has like the Ryu fireball in a sense where it's just like, oh, I want you to come towards me. So her fireball is like really simple in a sense. Wow. Just use it as a good keep away tool. Like, and especially since they like made her pokes not worse, but they added more recovery to her pokes, so you're more likely to be whiff punished. And because I'm a Lance man, I like know which Lance and Percival, I know which pokes I can whiff punish with what. But like, I can't whiff punish this. Like Lancelot, yeah, Lancelot you can like 2U on reaction. And Percival you can somewhat DP it at certain ranges. But you still gotta like make this threat again established. Oh, look at that. Now you're back. Now you're you're like damn near half screen again. Imagine being a Ladiva player having to deal with this shit. This is just my personal opinion, right? If I was a Katalina player, 9 times out of 10, I'd probably end my combo. If like I ever got a random 2U, I'd probably just be ending it with Fireball. Because now you're gonna have to walk back towards me for whatever reason you need. Let's check this. So that puts you like right there. If I do this, wait, does ending with DP leave them closer? Let's not have you wake up with anything. That leaves you in far 5H range. Your right foot is barely touching the line. Yeah, so like, look at that. Her M Fireball actually creates more distance from you. Yeah, her Fireball actually creates more distance between you and the opposing player than her DP actually does. So I'm like, okay. And then even on top of that, you have like Stinger. Like, Stinger can be like, can be used to create some space, but it's not like something I would blatantly do. So you can like use Fireball to create some pushback, and then after you created enough pushback, you can like space your Stinger out appropriately for ideal spacing. So like, just look at that. Look at that, space trap. And now we created even more space and more distance. And look at that. Even though I don't have Stinger, I still have my Fireball that I could now use to annoy you, oppress you, and you just gotta sit there and either figure out how you're gonna navigate this bullet hell, or just go along with the block. Like, you could block it, but you know, some people don't like taking chip in this game, which is really weird. Like, they'd rather just like bet it all on like a hard read to jump in on a player who has like an anti-air like this, which completely baffles me. I don't know why. Some people do it. Next up, let's talk about Djeeta. I feel like this is Naji's costume and color, and if it is, I hate him. I will actually be very upset if this is his color and costume. So, Djeeta comes with like her Sakura type Fireball that she could charge. Now that I think about it, wow, she really is a Sakura clone. Wow, okay. Really good Fireball. Again, we're just using this to establish some type of spacing. We just want the opponent to be annoyed and just try to force their way in. Djeeta's Fireball also good because it can be charged for additional plus frames, and you could just run in behind it and be like, "La, I'm here now." You typically see this like, it's weirdly enough like amongst the Shotos, like just if we're just talking Gran, Katalina, and Djeeta players have like the weirdest sense of neutral with the Fireball, because the main idea is I'm gonna run in behind my Fireball. Like, they'll charge it up and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm gonna just run in behind it. Which isn't a bad idea, but it's not the only idea that exists. Naji, really good Djeeta player, really good Fireball game, because the motherfucker comes from Street Fighter. So he understands the application of how a Fireball should work. You can charge it, you don't have to charge it, and just try to play like a Fireball game where you're trying to make your opponent guess on what Fireball you're going to do and how you're going to deal with it. That's the idea behind like Djeeta's Fireball. Because of the fact that you can charge it, you could play a bit more unpredictable fire game, in which you're trying to have your opponent guess, am I going to charge my Fireball now, or am I not going to charge my Fireball? Am I going to charge it and get it to be slow, or am I going to charge it, not going to charge it and just have it go straight up, go as fast as fucking possible? And again, when you're using your Fireball, the main idea is you're just trying to annoy your opponent. You want them to make bad decisions because they're getting irritated by your Fireball. Let me see something. Yo, look how far they went. You did something unsafe, they got hit, and now they have to like just look at the amount of distance you create by just canceling it into Fireball. Like, look at that distance. Like, even if you don't use the EX version, just look at the distance. Like, I'm comfortable with this. Look how far Djeeta is. What's she gonna do about this? Like, what is her actual option? She's gonna have to guess. She's gonna play rock paper scissors. She's gonna either roll, she's gonna dodge, she's gonna jump. All right. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, look at that. Like, it's actually amazing. Like, I never noticed how much distance using Fireball creates off a sweep. And now we're just here now, where you just have to come back to me. Now we're gonna talk about like characters that are considered Shotos. I don't really consider them Shotos, but they're still considered Shotos, so I'm gonna let them rock. Like, this is like a really just a brief overview because it's not really much to talk about when you're talking about Fireballs. But versus these two characters, there's a lot to talk about because now you've lost some defensive options in challenge their Fireball. First character is Percival, and I can go on for days about this character because I actually played this character. So first thing you need to understand. Unlike other Shotos, my Fireballs do not go full screen. My Fireballs have really, really, really bad range when I'm unstocked. Now when I'm stocked, my Fireballs have slightly better range. Both my M and my H Fireball go full screen. Unstocked, neither my M or my H Fireball go full screen. So, fair to say that when you're playing Percival, trying to get stocks is like a move because you're trying to play the best version of your character possible. You're not allowed to do that when you don't have stocks. And the cooldown's like pretty brief. Now, in terms of Percival, it's kind of different in a sense where when you're talking about neutral game and like when you're talking about like range 0, which is like right here, versus like range 3, which is further out. Because at range 3, M Fireball's still good. Like, just look at the chip. This is literally how I play Max, like 95% of the time. If Max is here, he can verify this. Like, I get my stocks, and I'm gonna just start annoying the hell out of him with fireballs. I'll even throw out a light one, because a light fireball is like really good for like saying, hey, here's this really convenient stop sign. Just deal with this fireball while I get this one stock in really quickly. Really good uses for his light fireball. And remember, his light fireball is not affected by stocks. It's only his M and his H fireball that's affected. So even if I didn't have stocks, this is still a good strategy. Now you're gonna be kind of crazy if you do this instead of 3 stocks or 5 stocks, but it's still like a valid strategy. And also keep in mind, M Fireball knocks down. When you're stocked, M Fireball knocks down. So does H Fireball when you're stocked. When you're not stocked, neither M or H Fireball knock down when you're not stocked. Which is again emphasizing the importance of being stocked. So L Fireball, you kind of want to use as a stop sign just to say like, hey, just understand that you're like treading in my space, and I have normals to accompany this space. So keep in mind, M Fireball is more like, okay, I just need to make sure that you're like paying attention here because you might have gotten too accustomed to L Fireball, which actually does not occupy the entire screen. M Fireball does. So you're using M Fireball to say like, hey, I'm establishing my ground. Try to use M Fireball. Thank you for the follow, fam. Try to use M Fireball as just like a way of saying, just keep in mind, like, you just want to keep, like, have a mental check on them. Like, hey, just keep in mind this is here. It exists. Y'all came through with the follow and a tier 1. Wait, why? Oh, there we go. Thank you for the tier 1 sub, fam. H Fireball, most people, typically the most common use of H Fireball I'll see is like this. Because just look how much space I've established now. But again, you've used your EX Fireball here, and now it's on cooldown, so you won't have it back immediately. But because you're playing Percival, who has the normals of a fucking god, you could still like threaten a neutral space here. Just won't be as good until you have this Fireball again. And you know, the thing that everyone complained about, doing this shit. because everyone wants to press a button. Yeah, that's kind of degenerate, but there are counterplay options to it. If you don't know the counterplay options to it, I'm not telling you, because I made a whole video on the counterplay options. So if you want to know the counterplay options, go watch the damn video. Cool. And then, yeah. So, H Fireball in neutral is kind of just like, please get off me. Oh wait, I didn't have stocks yet. See, this is why you need to be stocked. Get off me. I just want to get more stocks up, like really quickly. And just use that opportunity to get your stocks up as quickly as possible, and then just send them full screen. So, yeah, if you secure a knockdown with a fireball, you've essentially set your opponent full screen, and you're having fun now because now they're not in your face. And with a menace like Djeeta, you don't want that character blatantly in your face at any given time, because if she's in your face, you've probably just lost a round, and I'd probably be thinking about what's my strategy for next round to avoid getting put in that same situation like I did this round. Are there any questions about fireballs that I have like talked about so far? Oh yeah, and since we're talking about Percival, and the next character I'm going to be talking about has this exact same concept with his fireball. For the love of fucking Christ, this is not an answer to fireball. That is not the answer. That is not the answer to Percival's fireball. Stop spot dodging and or rolling his goddamn fireball. It is not an answer. It is not an answer. It's actually the worst thing you can potentially do. Like literally, it's the worst thing you can do. Stop doing it. And if I see you do it, hold on, let me see who's in my chat right now. Who I know that played this game that's in my chat? Alderon Wolf. Hold on, we gonna make a sticky note out of this. 1 second. I see your name in this chat, right? So your name is listed here, right? If I catch you rolling a fireball, regardless if it's my fireball, and I'm seeing you just play whatever Percival character, whatever it is. If I see you fighting a Percival and your name is listed here, and I catch you rolling it or dodging it, I am calling you on Discord and I am yelling at you for 5 straight minutes. Because I'm tired of seeing y'all motherfuckers roll the damn fireball or dodge the fireball. Listen, King John, that's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. I play Percival against you sometimes, just not all the times. Lance mirrors are fun, and it's kind of degenerate. I kind of like being a degen sometimes, all right? Quotes, you play Narmaya, okay? I have to like, that matchup is also kind of fun, but it's also fun just kind of degening you out with Lance. You could be down 0-2 in grand finals against a Percival player. If I catch you rolling that fireball or dodging that fireball, I'm yelling at you. So, stop dodging his damn fireballs. That was never an option. Okay, the last character we have to deal with in terms of Shoto-esque fireballs is Belial. Who, for the exact same reason, you should not be jumping. I mean, you should not be dodging or rolling his fireball. But his fireball is actually better, and therefore worse for you if you actually choose to make that decision. Like, he can control the trajectories of his fireball. I don't know why they allowed him to do this. I honestly don't. Oh my god. All of these are plus. I believe this is, oh shit. So let's stop you from super jumping. That's plus double digits. I think it's like plus 17 if memory serves, and this is plus 2. Both of these options are plus 2, I believe. Again, you understand like how good a RPS can, like a fireball game can be when you fight characters like Belial or Percival, because their fireballs actually reward them for calling out bad defensive options. So like if you try to spot dodge his fireball, like they get actual rewards for you trying to like play around their fireball, which is why people try to like take a more methodical approach when it comes to their fireballs. But those two, Percival and Belial's fireballs, by far for sure give the best rewards for like actually knowing how to play a fireball game. It's not, but that being said, it shouldn't dissuade you if you play Cat, Djeeta, or Gran to not play a fireball game. You still need to play the fireball game. You just have to be a little bit more smarter with your approach, I guess is the best way to put it. So yeah, you don't want to like roll into that, because that's just massive damage. And then his M fireball allows him to do the same thing, but from an aerial approach. And even if it happens to me a lot when I fight Bisu, right? So like I'll see him like throwing a fireball. Give it a second. I don't jump. Okay. Now I got guard broken. Like, so playing Belial and Percival, you definitely have to play a more the fireball game with those two characters is a little bit more fun, and the reward's definitely higher. But you still have to be like more cognizant of their fireball because of how good their fireball is. It's like getting just an easy guard break because you wanted to jump. It's kind of pain. And now you're losing like 45. Now you're losing like potentially like 30% of your health. Like, that's not worth it. You shouldn't be like risking that option. So you just have to like walk your way in. And even more so, like let's say you're a Shoto. Again, if you have a fireball, remember your fireball fights other fireballs. So you should just be choosing that opportunity to be like, oh, we're playing a fireball war? Cool. Especially since they made nerfs to Belial's fireball. Like, oh, if I don't space my fireball correctly, I get hit, and now my fireball disappears. Fireball wars, they're fun. I'm actually trying to like time it. Oh, look at that. So you have to understand how like to use your fireball, especially in relation to other characters' fireballs. Other characters can actually force the same interaction where they're trying to you're trying to get past his fireball. 1 second. Where you're trying to get past how good Belial's fireball is, and you can just use your fireball and it just completely force a stalemate. Now, if you're a character without a fireball, I think this goes without saying, this video is not for you, but you should still watch it anyways, just to have an idea of how you want to deal with fireballs in a sense. Like, oh, look at that. So if I'm scared of him trying to use fireball, I could just gather resources. What I mean by gather resources is if you play Gran, you play Percival, you play Lil, if you play Vasaraga and you just want to free armor up. I wouldn't recommend using Sori's 5U versus it, but some of y'all are crazy, so go off, kings. Djeeta if you try to get your 5U in, if you're Zoe and you want more Dragon Bar. Or if you're a Cag who just wants to use get their rock off. Literally. His fireball isn't his fireball's good, but it still has its own weaknesses. Free patch, however, this was not a thing. If that fireball was to still hit Belial, his fireball would still be on screen, and I would lose a good 10% of my life. But now it's oh, now they made his fireball fair in a sense, so now I can just actually play a fireball game with him. Beforehand, any fireball exchange was in his favor because of that one mechanic, but now it's a little bit more fair in a sense. So these are things you should just be aware of, I guess, in a sense. I just made this video because I feel like it was kind of needed in a sense, because not everyone opts to play a fireball game. And what's hilarious is unless you play Uno or Matera, who are forced to play a fireball game in general, you probably don't have the right idea, which is weird.